And then he continues in verse 11, the day to rebuild your fences, that day is far away in a distant time. That day exists. And he will come against you. From Assyria to the fortified cities, from Egypt to the Euphrates River, from the western Mediterranean Sea, and from mountain to mountain. And the land will be desolate with its inhabitants, as the fruit of their actions. Here, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is telling us something very, very scary. That this war begins by these fences being broken, just like they were broken a few weeks ago. Instead of thinking about rebuilding the fences, you're going to realize that there is a much bigger battle. Because they're going to come against you from all places, from all corners, just like they're all threatening to do right now. But don't think for a moment that this is anything other than HaKadosh Baruch Hu allowing us to be in this situation, in this circumstance where we quickly realize we have nothing to rely on, no one to rely on other than HaKadosh Baruch Hu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is putting us in a circumstance that we haven't been in for a very, very long time. Because the attack is coming from everywhere. And eventually it leads to a land that will be desolate with its inhabitants as the fruit of their actions, meaning a complete disaster. Who will survive this last war? Only those that cleave on to Hashem. If you cleave on to Hashem, you do complete tshuva, you're assured by every one of the prophets that talked about the end of the days, you'll be protected because the last exile, the last exodus, is not like the first one. The righteous are promised protection in this last one that we're in right now. But that's only if you believe that only HaKadosh Baruch Hu can help you. If you think the army can help you, if you think the government's going to help you, if you're worried about anything other than your relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you have a very serious problem. If you're afraid of what you're watching in the news and not afraid of Hashem, you have a serious problem. Why? HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to put each and every single one of us at a moment of truth where we'll realize, En od milvado, there's nothing else but Him. The terrorists don't exist unless He allows them to exist. The enemies don't exist unless He allows them to exist. Nothing exists unless He allows it to exist. The moment we realize that He is the one that can help me, He is the one that can hurt me, He is the only thing that exists. Nothing else exists. The moment we realize that, we're okay. Until we're there, we're in danger. And the Prophet continues, and he says, as in the days when you left the land of Egypt, I will show it wonders. The nations will see and be ashamed of all their unveiling power. Unavailing power. They will place a hand over their mouth. Their ears will become deaf. And that's why Hashem says that salvation to those people that do tshuva will come. And part of that salvation will be to see their enemies destroyed. As He says, in the days when you left Egypt, I will show you wonders. What wonders? What wonders are you talking about? Bigger wonders than we saw in Egypt. The nations will see and be ashamed of their unavailing power. All of the power they have right now, whether it's the power and size, how many of them there is versus how many of us, the weapons, the control, all the things they think they have. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says that they will come, that all of these enemies, all of these nations will be ashamed of the power they have. Why? Because they'll realize that as much power as they have, as much atomic bombs as they have, as much tanks and missiles they have, as much airplanes they have, as much money as they have, as much, even if you multiply it by 1 billion and 1 trillion, to the power of infinity, will become worthless once they see the wrath of God. And the nations will see and be ashamed of all their unavailing power. They will place a hand over their mouth. Their ears will become deaf. They will lick the dirt like the snake and like creatures that crawl on the ground. This is the prophet saying, not me. Chapter 7, verse 15 through 17. They will lick the dirt like the snake and like creatures that crawl on the ground. They will tremble from their places of confinement because they're hiding once the wrath of God comes. Once they realize that Kadosh Baruch Hu is only picking them. Only the enemies of Kadosh Baruch Hu will be punished. If you observe the Torah, you observe the mitzvot, you follow what Kadosh Baruch Hu says, you have nothing to worry about. Anyone that follows the Torah will see this day. Wonders that you will see will be greater than the wonders we saw in Egypt.
I've heard enough. New arrival screams echoing through the hallway to know that this ain't good. Once they pass them through the infierno, they don't come back. It's enough to make you go crazy.
Do not think we fear you, Spirit. We know your power is born of evil. This is your last night in the land of the living. You understand me, malevolent demon?
There was a rich family that lived here called the Hetheringtons, and unfortunately, their daughter passed away of a heart attack inside the house. Basically, they were so devastated that they reached out to people claiming to be psychic mediums. They actually weren't psychic mediums. They opened up a total of 11 portals inside this house and invited spirits and entities from all different kinds of dimensions.
Well, I think there are certain pieces of evidence that there is an afterlife.
Resurrection of the dead is affirmed pretty clearly in the Talmud and the Midrash.
To be honest with you, to give this lecture is a nightmare. If it was up to me, I wouldn't. There's going to be some graphic details.
This place is a maze.
that person after death went to a place called Sheol.
This is by far the largest near-death experience study that has ever been conducted.
People go to a place and they experience weird things. And sometimes they actually will see a character of some type. Well, where did that come from?
I don't know why that one chain is swinging back there.
They may describe feeling profoundly peaceful, seeing a bright, warm, welcoming light. Some people describe watching doctors and nurses working on them with incredible accuracy.
Next thing I knew, I was above my body watching the operation.
How long did you feel like you were gone?
I went to a place of timelessness. And so what that means, it could have been a second, could have been 5 minutes. I don't know.
Can you imagine waking up from your sleep and not being able to move?
As I'm lying there, I realized that there's an evil presence next to me.
Do you believe that angels, demons exist?
Holy shit, dude, get out of here! Oh my god, dude!
Strange things keep happening, bizarre nightmares, as if I'm on fire.
Whoa, what the hell is this? Man, I've got bad chest pain.
Satan's Hollow is what it's called, the portal to hell.
Some people calling it an eye of fire, while others said it looked like the portal to hell opening up.
And the next thing I know, I was outside of my body, looking at my body.
What I'm going to do is called claromancy, the art of throwing lots or throwing bones.
2,000 years of experience, passed down, recorded, of how demons work.
God has them all on a leash, and He lets the leash go enough to let them tempt us, because that's what makes us spiritually stronger.
I'm trying to be as graphic as possible so you understand what we're talking about.
It's your ticket to reality. It's your ticket to freedom. It's your ticket to immortality.
Is there an afterlife? Is there a
It's
God?
the type of information that can keep you away from the Yetzirah.
What happens to us after we die?